face look. Hi, honey. Good morning. My name is Dr. Felice Cellini, and I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. And this is our Sunday morning Why Wait for Recovery community meeting. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. My name is heidE, and I am in recovery. I'm so blessed and grateful.
Welcome, everybody. So we have everybody covered, right?
We do. I think we covered all our
Everybody
bases.
covered.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start off today since we talk about dieting and it's not about the food, and I always say it's not about the food, and nobody knows what that means. And what I mean is that the food is the end result, or eating quote unquote habits are the end result of something else that's going on. And so, since it's the end result and it is a result, we're going to talk about the food a little bit today. And so we talk about, with drug addiction or alcoholism, we talk about abstinence, and that's abstinence from our drug of choice, so that we're not triggering the stuff in our brain that causes us to stay addicted to the substance, right? And so when we talk about food, you guys, I know that there's a lot of questions about diets and stuff like that out there. We are abstinent from any type of, rice, bread, potato, pasta, any kind of starch, no matter what color it is. And if anybody has any questions about that, go ahead and IM us. And heidE or myself or Angeli will post something. And actually, Ange, I think that we have something that I talk with my patients about that you have on the phone.
Yeah.
So we could put that up for everybody. Otherwise, the diet, quote unquote, diet questions, I think can be answered by one of the three of us.
Right. And can I just add something to this?
You have to. You should right here.
Because, as a food addict, there definitely questions do arise. But I always, there's a difference between carbohydrates and starches. And I think that's just something
absolutely
that for a lot of us, the confusion comes in. And as an addict in recovery, I have to keep things really simple. So for me, I focus on the starches and just abstain from them. Because
Correct.
when it's if it's black and white, it makes it really easy for me to focus on, and it makes life so much more simpler. Because I just want to say something. For me, it doesn't matter what the stuff is. I love shoving things in my mouth that make me feel different, and it can be from cigarettes to drugs to food to whatever it is. And sometimes I replace it with people and sex and other things. So it really doesn't matter what that substance is. It's really what what the outcome of it is. That's the obsession and the compulsion and the guilt and the shame and all the other stuff. So if we're able to stay off the starches, what does it do for us? Why do we want to clear our brains out of the stuff?
So good question. And you said it's not black and white, and I love that you said that, because it's true. Like, people say, well, it's not, you can't have anything white. Well, that's caca, because whole grain bread, still raises our blood sugar, which still touches the dopamine receptor. So when we talk about our abstinence from starches, which you said correctly, thank you for saying that, because people say, oh, I can't eat any carbs. Well, first of all, we can, but I'm not eating any carbs. But if you're eating tomato or broccoli, it's a carbohydrate. It's just good for you. It's starch that increases the blood sugar. That's going to touch that dopamine receptor. Which is the pleasure center in our brain, which is going to keep us addicted. It's going to keep our brain asking us for more and more and more. So it doesn't matter what color that starch is. It doesn't matter if it's whole grain. It doesn't matter if it's purple bread, pink bread, yellow rice. It doesn't matter. Whole wheat, not so whole wheat. It is what it is. And so that's the stuff that we abstain from, so that we're not triggering the dopamine receptor. Otherwise, I'm saying, well, I'm an alcoholic and my drug of choice was tequila, so I'm just going to drink wine. It doesn't work, right?
Right. And also, this always just brings up something as well. Sorry.
Your dog is.
I know. We have a supervisor, a four-legged supervisor in the room. So the other thing is, post-bariatric surgery, because I had surgery. Felice digging the sofa to make it more comfortable. So I had bariatric surgery, and the thing is, I didn't lose the weight because of anything I did. I lost the weight because something my doctor did. He removed 75% of my stomach.
That was convenient.
So conveniently in the beginning, I was heading for the course of losing weight. It was just inevitable. It had to happen. I couldn't eat as much, and I couldn't eat what I was eating before because I just wasn't I wasn't hungry. He took away the crap out of my stomach that makes me hungry, in terms of the real physical side of it.
Right, physically.
The physical side of it. But the thing is, after I lost the weight, those thoughts start coming into my head because I am the addict. I'm doing the same things that I did before because I look different. So I think that they'll make me feel different. But I've done enough research out there that the minute I start doing the same things as I did before, which is putting those substances in my body, I react the same way. I start getting the cravings. I start feeling guilt. I start feeling the shame. I start not being able to stop myself. And it becomes like the same as if I put a joint in my mouth. It becomes so much easier for me to pick up a cigarette and all the same things. There's a whole cycle that follows it. And it's not so much the thing that I'm putting in. It's once it hits my system that I react in a certain way.
And I was on a food addiction. I was really surprised. I was on one of the food addiction sites the other day, and they were talking about, I'm really craving a sub. Like, when can I eat a sub? And everybody's giving them all these answers. Well, you wait until your stomach is this size, or you're big enough, or your doctor says, or you could have a quarter, or if you have this, or, and I'm thinking, like, again, that's like me as an alcoholic saying, when can I have one shot of tequila? I can't. My brain doesn't understand what one shot of tequila is. They say in quote unquote the rooms, one is too many and 1,000 is never enough, because that first one triggers my addiction, and then my brain doesn't understand, like people's normal brains understand, that I can have one or two drinks. It understands that as soon as I touch whatever receptor in the brain that alcohol is touching, that I'm off to the races. My brain doesn't have an off switch when it comes to alcohol or opiates or starving myself. And with you guys, your brain doesn't have an off switch when it comes to starches. And so if we don't wake up the monster, then we could go ahead and work on our recovery. We must be abstinent to step into recovery. And once we're in recovery, the abstinence will come as a matter of fact. It'll become much more easy. Will we always pay attention? Yeah, we're going to pay attention. Are we going to be obsessed with the fact that we quote unquote can't eat certain foods? Of course not. It's just going to be the way that it is. Just like I choose not to drink alcohol or eat opiates, you will choose not to eat starches or sweets, and that choice will become a lot easier, but not if I'm consistently stimulating that dopamine receptor. It just doesn't work.
So I love that you actually said this, because one of my pet peeves is in moderation. You see, for me, I'm not in moderation. I don't understand, because for me, if it feels good, I want more of it and I can't stop it. And for me, when I start hearing that maybe I can have things in moderation when I reach a certain point, doesn't work for me. And I'll tell you how I know it doesn't work, because the first diet I did, if that worked for me, I wouldn't have needed another one. And I tried every single one of them under the book. Anything that was ever invented, I have tried that as a diet. So for me, behavior modification, when they say change your behavior in terms of try another diet and keep trying this one and stick to it, if it worked for me, I wouldn't have gained and lost over 600 pounds that I needed to go for bariatric surgery, because my health was so bad. And it was a choice that I made. I mean, the thing is, moderation for an addict doesn't work.
I was going to say, you sound like an addict when you're talking
am an
like
addict.
that.
And I just wanted to say something. It's very important. There are a lot of opinions out there. I look and see opinions all the time of what people think works for them. But I also realize something, that I'm dealing with other addicts. People giving the most opinions are telling me stuff that they like to believe is true, And when I try to make it really simple, and I do what Felice says to me, which is stay off the starches, there's a huge world out there. There are a million other choices besides eating starch.
Yeah, that's correct. That we're not stimulating that receptor, that we don't have to stay in active addiction. And just like you've tried 1,000 different diets, it's like me saying, well, I've definitely tried to drink in moderation, and I tried to drink on Saturday, and I tried to drink only when people weren't there, or only when people were there, or only, never in the morning, or only when I'm hanging out with Dawn, or none of that works. It doesn't work, or I wouldn't be an addict sitting here and recording an addiction recovery session, because all the other zillions of you guys out there who are addicts wouldn't need to be watching this.
Right, and there's a reason why you tune in, because some of this is speaking to you, because obviously what you're doing isn't working. You're obviously struggling. You're obviously have feelings of guilt and shame or feeling demoralized by keep doing the same thing over and over again. And honestly, I've realized that that's the insanity of an addict, is I kept doing the same thing over and over again, knowing what the outcome was and knowing what the results were. I just didn't know how to change that cycle.
Right.
And that is recovery.
Right. And the beginning of our recovery, we have to start with abstinence, stay abstinent, and step into recovery.
Jess, you wanted to say something, love?
Yeah, I wanted to contribute to what you were saying about the triggering of the receptor with certain things, with starches and sweets. So, stop me if you don't think this is okay. But
We'll just shut up the TV.
I had posted about how I thought like sugar-free gum was okay for me because it's sugar-free, and I was chewing it for vacation, for the airplane and the elevation, whatever. And then I noticed that it triggered me just the same way as the starches and sweets did. But also I noticed kind of like even more like almost like what I imagine a drug addict would feel like, wanting, needing the next, piece of gum or whatever. Like I couldn't stop. Which I just wondered if anybody had thoughts about that. I know we talked about it a little bit online, but Felice, I know you get the medical aspect of it a little bit, if you had anything to say about that.
So there's actually something to be said for that. So there are a lot of people who are in recovery as food addicts or overeaters or bingers or purgers, and having a piece of gum for them doesn't trigger them. A piece of gum that has artificial sweetener doesn't trigger them. And so that's going to be a personal thing that you're going to have to find out. Sometimes the brain, when you're tricking your brain into thinking you're having something sweet, might help you crave something sweet. I'm going to tell you, as an alcoholic, people who drink, I was at a wedding once, and so there was actually a group of people in recovery at the table. And so when they poured the champagne, everybody at the table had ginger ale in a champagne glass. I won't do that. Just the ginger ale in the champagne glass, making believe I'm drinking champagne, I won't do that because that might be a trigger for me. So we're all going to know what we know what our absolute triggers are, right? The starches and sweets, and the other stuff. You're in recovery, Jess. So you've been in recovery, so you know a little bit more. I think to pay attention to your brain a little bit more, because you're working on your recovery more than you need to work on the food right now. Right? Because that comes a little bit more second nature for you. So if that's a trigger for you, then that's a trigger for you. It doesn't mean that it'll trigger other people, but if it's a trigger for you, then you know that it's best if you don't.
I'd love to also just add something to that as well, because I'm the overeater, so I eat beyond being full. It's not just what I'm putting in my mouth, it's just I don't stop. I don't know what a full button looks like. I just keep going and going. So for me, it's also part of that compulsion of keeping my mouth going, because it diverts my thoughts to other things of feeling. For me, keeping my mouth going and doing what I keep doing stops me from paying attention to what is actually going around as well. So for me, it becomes almost like that feeds my addiction. So for me, I don't chew gum because I can't. It's one of the things that triggers me. And every single person's different.
Yeah.
And part of recovery that I found is a discovery. It's a journey of discovery into getting to understand ourselves better and why we do the things that we do, and to basically make better choices so that we can be happy and present. And the big thing for me and big key is being present and enjoying the moment and just being happy through the experience. But I'm so pleased that you brought up the gum thing, because you'll find the different things for everybody.
Yeah, there are going to be different. Beside our known triggers, there'll be some other triggers as well. So thanks for bringing that up, because that was really important.
Sure, and just to mention, I guess, like you said, Felice, I don't focus on the food as much, so I was happily going along, and I was suddenly getting these cravings and weird feelings, and it was just so bizarre. And I'm grateful that I was in a place in recovery where I could step back and look, okay, what's changed?
Right.
So I guess word of advice to people, just not advice, but warning, just beware and take a look at everything. I don't know.
Yeah, and if you weren't in a place in your recovery where you could say to yourself, hey, like there's something going on in my brain right now, right? Then you would have relapsed.
Right.
So good job, you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this also leads into
That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
And this also leads into that other question is like, people say that they have a hard time of cutting back or letting go. You know, it really is a hard line. You know, for me, it's a hard line. I wanted to cut back on how many joints I was smoking a day, and I wanted to cut back on all different, how many cigarettes and all this kind of thing. There reaches a stage where you have to make a decision to stop.
Right.
And that's key. There's no easy
Well-
way of doing this in terms of, especially when it comes to anything that you're addicted to. So what I'm saying is, people say, you know, I'm having a hard time breaking away from carbs or whatever the story is. No one is going to follow you around and smack the substance out of your hand, essentially. There comes a stage where we go, stop today, and for no matter what, I'm not going to pick up for today, no matter what my substance is, if it's drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever that looks like, I'm not going to do that for today. And if you can't put that in your head of doing it for today, do it for the next 5 minutes. And if you keep doing that for 5 minutes, it becomes the day. So just chunk it down into, for right now, when I think of picking up, what are my other options?
Yeah, and so you said, you know, what we can and what we can't. And and we're going to reframe that because
Oh,
we know
choose.
that. Right, so we choose to because I could do whatever I want to do.
Right.
I can pick up and I can stay in active addiction and I can live unhappily and I can be miserable and guilty and full of shame and feel demoralized. I can do all of those
Sure.
things, right? But we're going to choose not to, and that choice gets a whole lot easier once we've actually stepped into recovery, become a part of community, right? Once we're being of service, once we're reaching out, once we get out of our heads and start paying attention to what's going on in the world around us and start enjoying our lives and start getting some happy, which is what recovery brings us.
So that reminds me, if you want to join in the conversation that we're having now, go to our website, WEIGHT.net, and hop on. I mean, people are joining us either physically in the room or virtually via our waiting room. So if you want to step into the waiting room, hop in. Or they join us live streaming on Facebook or Google+. They find us on Instagram. They find us in different places. We are a community. The big thing is recovery is best done with friends. You know, we make decisions and choices that make us healthier in terms of what we're putting into our body, but the rest of that and how we work our programs, but a lot of that helps when we got people that we can rely on, because if we keep thinking the same thoughts that we thought all along, nothing is ever going to change. We're going to stay where we were. And learning from people who have got recovery and have found ways of recovery helps us to grow.
Right, and you know, we never want to be the smartest person in the room. So reach out to somebody that you trust, that you like what they're saying, you know, become a part of the community and ask some questions and share some stuff and see if somebody else needs help today.
So what is the name of our community? We're talking about it. It's on Facebook. It's a member-only community called What's Eating You. And people ask this question, can people see what you're posting? Can your friends on Facebook see what you're posting in the community? It's a closed community. Only people who are members of that group can see what's being posted in the group. The only time that your friends will see it is if you are sharing things or commenting on our page. Then they'll see what you're busy doing.
If they're also a member of the
If
group.
they're
Or
a
if they're a
member,
member of
yeah.
the group. So just so you know, there are 3 questions, and the reason we ask you these questions is we want to get to know you better. We want to get to know you better, and we're nosy, but we do want to get to know you better because, you know, the way that we're able to help each other is when we know each other better, we know that things are slightly off. Because as an addict, I tend to retreat and I become very isolated and step into my own world. And when I have friends that go, heidE, something's off with you, the only reason they do that is because they know me.
Right, and because you're around like-minded people who care.
Right.
So join the community. It's called What's Eating You. Okay, so should we go
Yeah,
around?
please.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you this morning?
Good. I enjoyed being here Thursday and, you know, kind of really understanding community. So,
Awesome.
2 things. I'm in the middle of I got elected for this new venture group, and what I realize is it's bringing up a lot of my eating issues because I'm creating this business plan for a project, and it just, I really see how all I want to do is eat, which is probably what made me come here, the start. And what I did was I actually reached out in my Facebook community to let people know I was going to be doing the business plan all day yesterday. And normally I don't say anything. Normally I'm like Miss Perfect. And it was great. I just said, I want everyone to know I'm like doing this all day. I'm freaking out. I don't think I could do it. And it was just great to get all that feedback, like that community support, and share, like not think that I have to do this on my own. And I noticed, my food cravings and stuff were not there. Actually, I didn't get everything accomplished, but it wasn't all inside me hiding it. And then when I realized, I happened to catch something that I was listening to on mindfulness, and the person said, have it be fun. It doesn't matter. And I thought, man, I was not making it fun, because all of a sudden when I got elected into this program, it was like, I have to do this competition, and it wasn't fun anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like just the one thing I heard, have it be fun and learn from it, instead of whether I win, because there's seed money, whether I win it or not, it would be nice, but it's like not worth what it was doing to me. And then I brought the fun back in, and then I realized why I was doing this business plan to begin with.
So you're talking about perspective, which is what we talk about when we talk about recovery, you guys, right? So we could look at a challenge and look at all of the things that are stressing us out, or we could look at a challenge and find 10 things that we're grateful for about the challenge, right? So we could do that. And so that's awesome. I love when anybody talks about perspective, because our whole entire life is basically the way that we look at it. And in recovery, we're going to learn to have a more positive perspective, which is going to make us happy, right? Another thing you said that was very important, you said that I was doing a real big project and that's all I wanted to do is eat. So I want you to say, and you can put it in the past, but in the past, I've been a stress eater.
Mm-hmm.
So say it, because I want you to own it.
In the past, I have been a stress eater.
Right, and so that's something that you work on. When you feel that stress and your brain is signaling to you, okay, well, we feel stress. Well, that's bad, because when an addict feels anything that they don't want to feel, that's bad, right? That's what our brain tells us. And we're going to remember that feelings aren't facts. They're just feelings. And so if I'm feeling stressed, I don't have to eat 43 Oreos to feel better, right? I can reach out to the community and feel better, right? I could take a walk and feel better. Or I could feel like crap for a little while. Okay, right? Nobody ever died from feeling like crap for a little while. And that's okay too. And so it's learning to take a look at your feelings, which you did. So good job you that you reached out to the community. I'm really proud of you for that. And that you had that realization, because the fact that you reached out is important. The fact that you had the realization that doing something else allowed you a chance to change your perspective and not feel alone, and understand that other people are in the exact same place, and that people are so willing to be of service, right? And that when we're in service, we're not just in here and thinking about ourselves.
Yeah, and I think like what we were talking about yesterday, because I gained all this weight, and I really just let that go and made peace with it. And then a lot of these people that I was communicating with know me, and it was just great to be encouraged, because it doesn't matter whether I'm 5 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever, heavy or lighter, people still know who I am and love me. And that was hard for me that had been hard for me to let in, because of, again, that perspective. So it was good. It was good, and I liked it. Like I got, like, he'd asked me what I like to do, and I realized, like, one of the things I like to do is write, and because, like, I don't even like to write, because I would write the truth or share. And so I saw, like, how one of the things I like to do is share perspective, and I wasn't even willing to do that because of all these stories that I had in my head, and that was keeping me in prison, because of just an outlet that I actually like to do. So that was like a small step, I guess, to just, like, write that. And then I noticed, even though I was really focusing on my business plan, I got a chance to share, like, a few other places that made me feel good.
Good. And when you're sharing something, especially the way that we feel, we find that we're being of service to somebody else, because somebody else is feeling it too.
Right.
Somebody else needed help too at that moment, right? And so by you opening up, it gives somebody else the freedom to not be scared, to open up too. And so as we share how we feel, the majority of time we're going to be of service at the same time. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And I just want to say, I got rid of all these coupons that I had to buy these high protein ice cream pints that they even give you the calories of the whole pint.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we won't talk about
We can't
that.
talk
Yeah,
about that.
we're
I
not
don't even
gonna
go
talk
there.
about that.
So I was like,
But good for you.
Like I just got rid of all these coupons just and I'm like, why am I even having it? Like,
Exactly.
So that was good. That was actually
Exactly.
That's like clearing
Exactly.
out all the liquor from the house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely. Or your free drink cards.
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
save this just, in case I want to give it to somebody, right? If that happens.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much. Miss Dawn,
Good morning.
good morning, how are you?
Very sleepy today, but,
Okay.
But I'm well. Last meeting, we talked about my issue with my parents
Mhm.
and being of service to them, and I have to say I've gotten better since that meeting because of the input that I got from the two of you, and I pray about it every single day too, because I really want to do better, and it's been better. So that's a big relief for me.
I'm glad.
Yeah, me too. And everything else is good. I don't have too much to say today.
Yeah, and so you said that it got a little bit better and nothing changed except for your perspective.
Exactly.
Right? Same exact thing is
Nothing
going
else.
on.
Same
You
thing.
change your perspective and it
Same
gets
exact
better.
thing, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? So it really is the truth, right? Our whole
Yeah.
entire world is just the way that we see it. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more we step into recovery, the more we will work on changing our perspective, which is what we do a whole lot of in workshop, right? Workshop, big time,
Big
changing our perspective. So so that we can get some happy. For me, the whole recovery thing is learning how to get some happy, learning how to wake up in the morning and looking at what's positive. And actually, it seems like I should just be able to wake up this morning and say, okay, well, I'm grateful for da 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 da, so I'm happy. But we actually work on and learn to change our thinking, right? It's not something that, bam, oh, that happened. I had a conversation about that, so now I'm happy. Doesn't work like that. But doing the work, putting in the time that it takes to, it's so funny. We'll go to school for 8 years to get a PhD, right? But we don't want, as addicts, we really don't want to work more than 5 minutes on getting happy. So,
And the thing is, if you come into the room struggling, it's really hard to be happy when you've got those thoughts and you've had them for a really long time.
Absolutely.
So what workshop does for me is it helps me get a different perspective of why I'm reacting the way that I'm reacting and where those thoughts came from, and also learning from other people that I identify with, because it's quite amazing. Very often other people will tell my story. And when I hear it from a different way of looking at things, things become clearer in my own mind. So before I have that default reaction, which is getting pissy or bitchy or whatever it is, or unhappy or miserable, or whatever those things are, I'm now able to stop for a second and think. Instead of going into that automatic default mode of flying off the handle, whatever the story is. I'm a huge person in traffic that gets really discontent really quickly if I let myself. But workshop for me, and we've got one coming up on the 25th of August, are the best learning opportunities. Honestly, we spend so much time and so much effort on so many other people. I really think that I'm worth it. And the greatest joy I've been able, and the greatest gift I've been able to give myself, which also hits off on my family, is that I'm a happier person, which makes it so much easier and nicer to be around. And registration, just so you know, is going to close the Thursday before the workshop.
but
not-
it
it's not
already
open.
says,
Oh, is it already
says
closed?
that it's
It's
closed.
Oh,
not
Yeah.
open.
So I will reactivate that by the end of today. You'll be able to register again. In fact, give me an hour after the meeting, I'll be up and running. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me know.
Thank you.
And what's the difference? There's like a
Yes.
VIP.
So the one is, so let's just discuss the different workshops we have. One is an intensive. Some people don't know if they're addicts, and some people don't know if they're overeating or if this is just the way that they are. And people have a lot of questions about addiction. And the intensive hours that we spend in the intensive session is just getting to the basis of it. So it helps you get a better understanding of what the next step is. And then our 7-week workshop is actually from a workbook that Dr. Felice developed and that she has, and that you cannot buy this anywhere. Okay, it's one of those things, it only works when you're in the workshop because it's made that way.
Yeah.
And this is intensive learning that takes you through a whole structure of being able to get insights and solutions. And it's one of those things, each time you do it, you see something different and you find something different and you learn something different. And I really believe that we come in a certain way, and when we learn one thing, it opens up a door, and that leads us into another room, essentially, that opens up another door. And each time we do that, we learn more and more and more, and it helps us grow as people.
And I like that you said, about sharing your story and that other people's, when we did, actually one day in workshop, we did all do our goodbye letters, and everybody said, well, I could take your goodbye letter, put my name and sign my name to it, and it's my letter, right? We all said that. Everybody did. Because our thoughts and our feelings, the stuff that we did, we did. Every addict does the crazy, insane stuff that we do. So maybe my crazy, insane behavior looked a little bit different than yours did. But my feelings before, during, and after that behavior, they were all the same. Right, Karen? You were the first person that said, I could take any one of those letters and write my name on the bottom of it. Right? And everybody was agreeing with you. So that was good insight. A lot of good insights in the letters. But we get to share those insights when we're sharing in the workshop. So thank you for that. So Ange, I know you're in the middle. So should I come back to you, honey?
Please.
Because I know that you're answering questions. And I'm going to go to the girls up here. Any questions online that should be answered right now?
No.
Okay,
not
let me
urgent.
know.
Yeah.
If you guys, anybody has a question that's not in the room, go ahead and post it, and we'll do our best to answer that question as well. Jessica, anything else to share about this week, hon?
Sure. I can share real quick about just something that's coming up. You guys were talking about workshop. I typed into Ahmed. Maybe he'll answer it, or maybe you will. When is the next workshop? Do you know yet?
Yeah. So this the 7-week workshop
Yeah.
It's starting in October.
is starting in October. The exact date we don't have. And then
Okay.
the 1-day workshop that we're gonna have, what's
August
the date
25th.
on that, you guys? August 25th.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
So,
Thank you,
I
Jess.
hope to do the October one. But in the meantime, starting tomorrow, I've got a local workshop here that I'm going to do. It's not really called a workshop, but it's a 4-week thing where they take us through the 12 steps from Alcoholics Anonymous. So I'm excited to get working on that and feel like I'm ready for that. So I just wanted to share that, and I'm excited about it.
Okay, yeah, no, so thanks for sharing that, Jess. Just a shout out to all of the A groups. We're not associated with Alcoholics Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. None of those A groups. We're not a part of any of that. We're just some people that are hanging out talking about recovery. A shout out to all of those groups that help to keep people clean. You guys are awesome, so thank you so much for your service.
Yeah, we don't advocate for one over the other.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, we don't advocate for any type of group. Anything that that you want to do that you feel is helpful, then that's awesome. But for us, we're just Wait for Recovery, and we're a bunch of people getting together, talking about and sharing our recovery with each other. So thank you so much, Karen. Yes,
Can I-
ma'am.
Good morning.
Yes, Karen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to quickly share, I had an opportunity to kind of see firsthand how a change in my perspective works. I made some modifications, if you will, in the physical setup, but also I just went into it with a different mindset in kind of a repeat of something I had done earlier in the week. And it was a totally different experience. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I just saw it from a completely different viewpoint. And it really, really, really made a difference to my whole entire day, the way I felt about myself, the way that I interacted, and all of that.
Karen, do you feel comfortable being more specific? If you don't,
Sure.
that's okay. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Earlier in the week, I had an opportunity to babysit my great grandson, and I had some issues with, excuse me, how his mother is doing things. Well, when I went back on Friday to do it again, I chose to do a couple of things differently, but still stay within the parameters of what she wants. And I had fun. I was singing silly songs. He was smiling and laughing. We just had a great time. He actually fell asleep in my arms 4 different times during that day with, just me with me. And it really, really made a difference in how I felt about the whole experience. And so I just, literally fell more in love with him and came home feeling really free and happier and all of that. So it was really a very eye-opening experience.
And eye closing for the baby, right? And
Yes, it
Karen,
was.
so one thing about Karen, you were having a challenge and you reach out. I mean, and you're honest and open about it. And I think that one of the biggest things in our recovery and one of the biggest changes that I see in you as well is that it's easier, right? Instead of having to think, well, if I pick up the phone and I speak with Felice, how crazy is she going to think I am, right? As opposed to, I'm going to share this challenge and I'm going to get some help.
Yeah.
Right? So the same exact thing is happening.
Exactly.
We're just changing our perspective, right? We're getting rid of the ego part, right? What will Bonnie think of me if I say that out loud? And getting to this is a challenge, I'm going to share it and get some help. Same thing is happening, right? The end result is the end result. And in the end, you got some happy. Changed your perspective, you changed your actions, and you got some happy. And you weren't afraid to share it, right?
Well, yeah. Monday I came home feeling demoralized and just horrible about myself because I was angry in okay, she wants it this way, then we're going to do it this way. Well, Friday I changed a couple of things. I still did the things she wanted me to do, but I just had a different outlook on it.
Right.
And it helped immensely. I think the baby felt it.
Yeah, of course. I think that that's true too. I think they're like, like puppies. I mean, like they feel what we're feeling, I believe. I don't know that for a fact, but so that's awesome. So good job, you. And thanks for reaching out. And we see such a difference, like I said, when we get rid of that ego part of it. My ego being, what is Liz going to think about me if I say this? Liz isn't going to like me if I say this, so I'm going to reframe it and say it like that because I really want Liz to like me. As opposed to me just being in truth in myself, and if Liz likes me or Nancy likes me or Karen likes me or if Bonnie likes me, it doesn't matter. As long as I'm showing up and doing my best to do my best, your guys' opinions are your opinions. Right? Right? There are lots of times that Angeli doesn't like me, and that's okay, right? It doesn't change who I am. It's the way that she's looking at what's going on. And she has the right, and so do I. Right? So good for you, Karen. Thanks so much for sharing that. Thank you. Miss Liz, hi.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. There is something that I've been struggling with this week. You guys were talking about food triggers earlier, like sugar and starches. And what I want to talk about is actually a non-food trigger. And before I tell you what it is, I want to tell you how I'm feeling about it. I'm feeling guilty and kind of like a hypocrite.
Okay.
So what this is I'm noticing that what's triggering me is negativity, like people in their negativity. And I look at it and, I'm able to say, hey, I know this is their stuff. It's not mine. It has nothing to do with me. It's none of my business. And I'm trying to be compassionate and supportive, but at the same time, I feel like I have to also distance myself because it is triggering me. So it's like a tug of war, and I don't know what to do with it.
Okay, so this that you touched on, everybody goes through. So I want to thank you for bringing it up. I'm going to ask you, do you have anything specific that you can share? Because it's going to be easier for everybody else to see what's going on. If you have any specific that you could share. This person does this, and this is how I act or react or feel about it. You can make up somebody's name.
I talked to my fiance about this because I didn't know how to bring this up today.
Okay.
And so actually it's about being on the support groups on Facebook and like
Mhm.
reading about other people's struggles and the stuff that they're going through. And it's like, yeah, I know how that feels. And I've been in your shoes. I'm in your shoes. At the same time, it triggers me. And so I don't want to like jump on these people and say, hey, you should do X, Y, Z, or did you try this or whatever, because that's not my place. And I'm just trying to be supportive, and I don't want to alienate anybody or,
Okay,
or
so
make them feel like they can't share. So
Liz.
I don't want to be that specific.
Liz, so listen. First of all, you don't have to be. That's first of all. You don't have to. And I'm going to tell you, there are times where I know somebody's going through something and I'll read it and I'll comment. And depending on where I am in my own head, there'll be times that people are sharing and I see that they're sharing about some type of struggle and I'm not even going to read it because that's not where my head is right then. And actually, even in real life, I've had situations with you, Angeli, where there'll be something going on and I'll say, you know what, I can't deal with you right now. I can't deal with this right now. So maybe tomorrow when I'm feeling better, I'll have something to give you, but I don't right now. And nor do I have to. So here's the thing. If you're struggling, it's not my job to change your opinion. First of all, because I can't, right? You're going to receive what you receive when you receive it. To go up on anybody's site and to read just when people are sharing about, listen, sometimes we're going to share about what's positive. I share my gratitude lists and I share what's positive. Sometimes, you know how I say to you guys, you got your 15 seconds? For me, if somebody writes 2 lines about how they're feeling, something negative happened and it's a 2-line thing, I'll probably read it. Maybe I'll have something to share or something that I related to. But it's not your job to. So if you feel one day like you feel like being of service to the community, or you don't feel like doing that, that's fine. That's not you being a hypocrite, it's you being a human being. So if you don't want to read when other people are going through something, don't. There's no, what's the challenge with that? That doesn't make you a good person or a bad person. It just makes you Liz, right? And we're perfectly happy to have Liz around. It's not your job to fix me. It's not your job to fix Nancy. It's not your job to fix Karen. That's not your job. If you feel like reading something and writing something about it, great. If you don't. That's about you being real with yourself, right? Right? That's about you being true to you. And we've talked about being authentic, right? So if I'm being authentic, if I share because I feel like maybe these words can help somebody and I'm going to reach out to the community like that, I'll do it. Otherwise, if you're not being your authentic self, what are you doing? Yes.
And I might be totally off base here, going off topic, but this reminds me of when Karen, I think it was a couple of months ago, said, we suggested, well, be of service, reply to someone's post, and Karen said, well, I don't think I'm being authentic because I don't feel like giving someone a heart or a thumbs up or saying thank you for sharing.
Nor should you.
Right, nor should you. And this just relates back to like what Liz is talking about, I guess. So, point of me bringing that up is I guess like it's a common theme. And since that, I used to post and comment a lot more on our Facebook page, and I don't if I don't feel like it now.
Great. And so if it's something that you relate to, great. If you don't feel like reading the page for 16 days, great. If you, listen, for me, if I'm sharing the positivity part of my day, I'm going to tell you guys I do that for me. You want to read it? Great. I read other people's gratitude lists. It makes me giggle. It makes me happy. So when I feel like getting some giggle on or some happy on or feeling good for somebody else in the community, I'll read their gratitude lists. So, but as far as, listen, it's super important. You have to remember as addicts, we're used to isolating. And so there are a lot of times where somebody's going to share. It's going to be something that they're going through. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, I feel the same way. And that's okay. That's their gig. There'll be some people that are going to say, hey, I went through this. You might want to try this. And that's okay because that's their gig. And then, and you can read it or not read it. But that doesn't make you a hypocrite. It makes you a human being. Again, there's a reason why I give people 15 seconds to tell me their challenge. That I don't give people 15 minutes. I don't need to hear you say the same thing for 15 minutes. In 15 seconds, you can make your point, and if there's something that I could say that's helpful, I'll do it. Right? That's me being authentic to me. Because after the 15 seconds, I stop paying attention. Yes.
Can I ask Liz a question?
Yes.
What part of it makes you feel like a hypocrite? If you feel like answering that.
I guess because I was there and I've
Okay.
gone through all of that, and I reached out to people and I said, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, and I received all this great support and love and feedback, and I don't know, I just, and I hate that I'm even like having this conversation with you guys, because I don't want to make anyone feel like they can never reach out to me, because I'm not going to want to deal with their stuff or listen, because that's not the case.
Liz, you can't make me feel like anything. So let's all remember that. You saying what you're saying isn't making Bonnie feel any way. Bonnie sees the world the way that she sees it. You just said what you said. Bonnie can say, man, that Liz is brilliant. I wish that I was inside of her head so I could think what she thinks. Or she could say, that Liz is a hypocrite. She's a bitch. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's stuff. That's about Bonnie. You sharing what you sharing is you sharing. We're all going to take it the way that we take it, right, Karen? It's not, you can't make me feel anyway. Say what you need to say. That's you being authentic. If other people react in a certain way to it, that's about where they are. I cut you off, Angeline. I cut you off too. So you finish what you're saying and then you go.
Got the order?
Go.
Okay. Going back to what Liz was saying, and again, I don't know if I'm off base here, but I'm going to mention it because it came up. This reminds me of when I started working with you one-on-one, and there was so much stuff in my head, and I was scared to say it. And then when I said it, it was all out there, and some of it, I think I expected a response for everything, and I kind of had to learn, like, I'm going to say certain things I'm not, you're going to react the way you're going to react, and I'm not obligated, nor are you, to respond in that way. And I'm not saying that's the way you're looking at it, but what I am saying is that sometimes as addicts, we look for that instant gratification, whether it is in a response that we expect from someone, or lack of a response, or whatever. And I think that it's important to realize that sometimes we'll say things and nothing's going to happen out of it. It's just going to be.
It just is, Liz.
Yeah.
You just are. Yes, HeiDE.
So there are a couple of things. Thank you. Honestly, this is such a big topic for so many people.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of things. One is, I am like a political maven. At one stage, I was so involved in everything on Facebook, politics-wise, that it started driving me crazy, that I stepped away. I actually had him muted for a while because it was driving my head crazy and putting me in that crazy mode, and I was letting it.
Thank you.
And that's the worst part. So I made the choice to step away and disconnect from that for a while, and I'm still disconnected for a while. But the other thing is, we cover so many things in our meeting. On YouTube, we've got a library that covers just about every single one of these topics. If you don't feel like saying something, you can always share one of our videos and let people hop in that way and get support, additional support, and be of service. We don't always have to have the answers to everything. We don't always have to have responses to everything. And one of the things, because I'm one of those people that likes to fix things, I like to be liked. It's one of my things that I work on, one of my challenges.
Ego.
I got a huge ego, and I'm okay with it. So I tend to ask myself, why am I getting involved? Because if I can see my motivation, then it helps me learn from the process, and it helps me see whether I really want to comment, or sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But the reasons when I do, I find that they're authentic reasons because I've checked my motives.
Right. And so when you've checked your motives and you're being authentic, you're being of service. If I'm answering something because I feel obligated, I'm not being of service. I'm just pissing myself off. And now I'm going to say, well, it's really Karen who's pissing me off. Look what Karen wrote, and that's pissing me off. It ain't Karen that's pissing you off, Liz. And it's not Joe Schmo who wrote da 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 da, it's you. You're pissing you off. That resentment, this is a big part of recovery. Anytime that we feel resentful, you guys, we can look inside of ourselves and find out where we fit in the equation. So it's not that you're resentful of Karen because she wrote something. You're resentful of yourself because you're doing something you don't want to do. Don't do it. If you don't do it, you're not going to be resentful of Karen, and you're not going to have the resentment in you. And that resentment doesn't serve you, sweetheart. So the important part of this is realizing if I'm doing something to be of service, it's like, you know, at the Publix where they say, do you want to give $1 for the kids?
Oh, I hate that.
Well, I love it because it's one of the ways that I
Right.
am of service. So I care. I like it. Other people don't. You know, so it's just our perspective, right? And what we feel. I don't feel obligated. If somebody says you want to give $1, I don't feel obligated
Right.
to say yes.
Yeah,
You,
'cause it's-
why do you hate it?
well,
Yeah,
but
yeah, let's
no,
bring
exactly,
it.
because of the whole obligation, and then
Why
every
do you
time I
feel
do-
obligated? Why do
Right.
you feel obligated?
Because you don't know how to say no.
because it's the charity. Like then I think there's something,
Yes.
something
Okay.
with me. Like I'm like not giving. Like especially if they smile. Like. And I think the thing that I once heard a conversation with the Publix people that there's a game like how many
Okay,
charity things.
So
like
it
that-
doesn't have anything to do with any of that. What it
Okay.
has to do with is, I'm saying, do you want to give to charity? And if you say no, you feel badly about yourself.
Right, like I judge myself.
How are you
and-
going to look in my eyes? Ego.
Right. Okay.
What is the
Simple as that.
cashier at the Publix going to think of me if I say no? Let me tell you something.
Especially if they smirk afterwards.
Okay, let me tell you something. The Publix, the cashier at Publix doesn't remember you, doesn't think of you, isn't calling 15 of her friends and saying, I got that girl's name. It's Bonnie.
Right.
She didn't give any money at the Publix today. None of that shit that you've
Especially
made
if
up
I
in
put
your
all my
head.
coupons in and save $5.
None of that stuff that you've made up in your head is happening.
Yes.
And if it is happening, who cares?
Right.
Right. So you're not resentful that they're asking, right?
It's my
Your
power to say
ego.
no, like
Right.
Felice said,
And
yeah.
you know, if you said no, thank you, maybe you'd feel better.
Yes. No, I just
Right?
say no, thank you. I do that as a challenge.
But you
that I-
still feel bad.
That's true because I triggered me.
Right. So that's about you. So when we
Right.
talk about finding where the resentment is, you're not resentful of the person who's doing her job.
Right.
You're resentful of the fact that you feel judged, which comes from you, not from me. But you feel judged when you're not giving, because the word charity's in there. It ain't about that. Be of service. If you want to be of service, then you get to leave and smile. Right? And don't be of service if you don't want to be of service. And you get to leave and smile also because it's just a choice that you made for right now.
But that is big because a lot of time, yeah, it's like that whole be of service because it's not only there, it's like everywhere. Like
But
everyone wants. It's part of, it's
ser-
oh my god.
Service isn't something we do out of obligation. If I'm obligated, it's not service.
I know. Okay. And yeah. That's so I'm
Giving.
collapsing it because like I love
So,
being
so
of
listen,
service.
let me tell you something.
Okay.
So we're going to get a little bit of step beyond this. When I ask you if you'll give $1 for da-da-da, and you're pissed off, and you give me the dollar anyway, you're giving me the dollar not to be of service,
Right.
but to change the way that I think about you. That little teeny tiny thing, all of that thought went into.
Right.
If I give her $1 for charity, she's gonna think I'm a better person, which means I'm a better person. You could let all that go, because that's all a fantasy that we make up.
Okay.
And what I think of you, who cares? Show up and do your best to do your best. Don't take it personally. One of the 4 agreements, right? Don't take it personally. It's not about that. And when you want to be of service because it makes your heart feel good. I can't be pissed off and of service at the same time because I'm not being of service. Right? Service for me is positive energy, whether I do it in the way of cash or in the way of time or in the way of my heart or in the way of a helping hand, is something that I do to put positive energy. And the exchange of money for me is the exchange of positive energy, is putting positive energy out into the universe. These are my personal beliefs. I believe that positivity begets positivity. So, are you being, if you're pissed off and slapping down your dollar, are you being of service? No. Don't sweat it. Right? If you want to be of service, do. If you don't feel like doing something, don't do it. It's not you being true to who you are. Okay? If we judge you about it, who cares? That's about who we are.
Well, it's interesting you say true to who I am, because then it's another perspective or judgment. It's they'll think I'm stingy because I have it to give. So then I'll get this whole thing about why am I being stingy today?
I love the conversation. I love all the conversation that's happening in your head over giving $1.
Sometimes it's like they want to up it, right? Sometimes it's 4 cents.
Right.
Round up, right? It's 4 cents.
And wait, I just want to say
So
something.
the
So the
10% to 20% tip, it's like, I don't think
That's
this deserves
funny.
20%.
The conversation probably starts the minute you get into line, and it starts in the head.
It might have
and it's
started
like-
in the car right on the way there,
Exactly.
6 hours before.
Right, and it becomes this whole conversation of what am I going to do if they ask me for $1 donation, and it becomes the whole focus instead of a million other things that could be happening at that time.
Right.
Isn't it amazing
It's
how minds work?
amazing. Liz, be true to you. Liz, are you doing your best to do your best?
Yes.
Then your job is done, Mama. Your job is done. Show up for yourself. Do your best to do yourself. Do your best to do your best. I believe for ourselves and for the universe, and you're good to go. That's it.
So I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. Nancy, we're going to have to come to you on
Oh.
Thursday. No, we're going to have to come to you on Thursday because we've only got 3 minutes left. And I just wanted to say something. Anyone who's interested in
okay.
anyone who's interested in the workshop on the 25th, we've reactivated the link to register. So
We're
pick up your
reactivated.
phones, go to weight.net. You can sign up now. There is space. It's a great workshop. It's a great learning. It's a great first step to recovery. And also we get together twice a week. So we meet up on Sundays at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thursdays, 7 to 8 p.m. Standard Eastern Time as well.
Or
The
Eastern
workshop,
Standard.
or Eastern Standard Time. People ask, where is the workshop that we're having on the 25th? It is on your phone, it's on your computer, it's anywhere that you can reach us via Wi-Fi. So you can do it even, I think, through your iPad these days as well. So it feels like you're in the room. We have you on a big screen. We can see everybody. You can see everyone who's participating. It doesn't matter where you are.
It's a
People join us
virtual
from around the
classroom.
world.
Yeah.
I mean, we have people from England, South Africa, India, different places around the world who tune in, join us, and step in. We also have our online community. If you have anything that you want to get help with, reach out to a friend. It's called What's Eating You. It's on Facebook. We will be migrating to our own website to have our own forums that we'll keep you posted on that. We're in the process of developing that. And I know that you like taking us on.
Yeah, and Nancy, you're up first on Thursday, okay? So remind me, because you know I forget it. Well, Angela, somebody will remind me. Or remind me, you're good about that you're up first on Thursday, okay? And thank you for being here today. We're going to read from the promises from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. As we said, we're not associated with any of those groups, but I love this, and it's from their book, so I'm going to read it. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new happiness and a new freedom. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it, which again, I want to bring that up one day at a meeting. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We suddenly realize the universe turns the way that it does, right? Universe does for us what we can't do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We don't think so. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly and sometimes slowly, but they do always materialize if we work for them. I'm Dr. Felice Cellini. Thank you so much for being a part of my recovery. This was our Sunday morning Why Wait for Recovery community meeting.
And my name is heidE, and thank you so much for allowing me to be of service. Thank you for being here. And if no one has told you today that they love you, I love you. Have a beautiful week, everybody. Recovery is awesome.
Peace
And
out, you guys. Peace out. Enjoy your recovery.
We just lost connection.